Jack joins us now. Jack, thank you for coming on the show this morning.
Morning.
It's obviously a very difficult time for you. You've been through an awful lot. I wonder, firstly, how you're doing, how you're feeling right now?
Yeah, really good, really good. And I think being in such a good place now, you know, in a good relationship and, you know, being mentally strong is why I'm able to talk about it. Because I think before, you know, things would go wrong or I'd do something or something bad would happen and I couldn't handle it. So I was always off, you know, drinking, taking drugs and things like that. So it was masking it. I never actually dealt with the problems that I had and the issues that I had head on. And a lot of the time, I thought I didn't have a problem. I assumed I didn't have a problem. And, you know, from, I'd say, probably the age of 18, this has been an ongoing issue, but never, you know, unfortunately, you know, since being on TV, those mistakes are now public. They're not stuff that you could deal with behind closed doors. It's stuff that I've done, which now everyone knows about. It's not something that I could keep back.
So you've always, I think what you've said is you always felt like this was in you.
Yeah.
Maybe the opportunity to become well known and be on television has accelerated that. But regardless of being on telly, this probably would have happened at some point. You would have ended up with a gambling problem and drug problem and drink problem.
I mean, for me, yeah. I mean, no matter how I ended up with money, this would have happened regardless. No matter what the scenario was, it would have happened regardless. I would say having money in abundance quite quickly accelerated it, but this would have happened anyway, you know. And the amount of opportunities that I've messed up due to this, but then would not confront it and actually say, I've actually got a problem here, you know, I would just try and go on to the next thing, or I'd let someone down and burn some bridges, but I didn't want to burn those bridges. I'd let these people down and then go on to the next thing, and all of a sudden there's no one left to fall back on. There was nothing more to salvage. I mean, I used to come up here all the time and do the competitions with Andy Peters and stuff, and I loved it. Like, it was amazing, but unfortunately, you know, due to me, you know, not turning up for things and being unreliable, them opportunities that went. So no matter where they come from, those opportunities, I would have ruined whatever it was. Whether it's selling my office supplies, if I got a huge client, I probably would have messed up going to a meeting with them. You know, but I wasn't able to actually confront these issues head on. But I feel like now I really am in a place to do that, you know.
And is that one of the reasons why you're doing this now and why you're talking about it now? It's almost that sense, I suppose, of accountability, I guess. That the fact that if you sit here now and you say it, you're going to stick to it. That's what we all want you to do.
With that, the reason that I wanted to talk about it like this is because I do want to hold myself accountable, because there's been a few different times that I, you know, would kind of say, oh, yeah, I'm changing now. I'm really sorry for doing this. But I had no real intention of changing because I hadn't been dealing with the issues. And I thought, look, if you've got some fame and you've got a platform and you're well known, rather than it just be flooded with me having a sob story and crying and saying I'm sorry all the time, why not say, do you know what? Hold my hands up and say, look, I did make these mistakes. I did have these problems. You know, I was taking drugs. I was letting people down. But let's change the narrative now and use that platform rather than let it be full up with all this negative stuff. Let people say, do you know what? If he can do it, if he can have all these opportunities, if he can have all this money, lose it all down to what he was doing and turn it around, why can't I? You know, because there's a lot of eyes on it and I want it to be something positive now. I'm bored of myself. I'm sick and tired of myself, you know, keep saying I'm sorry and doing all these things, but making the same mistake over and over again. I think that's a lot of what addiction is. It's just it's like insanity. It's like doing the same thing over and over again, but expecting a different result. I'd have arguments with myself and say, this time round it'll be different. You know, you will make it tomorrow, but it never was the case.
How bad did it get, Jack? I mean,
it was awful. And it was always like, you know, it started out, you know, you just have a drink and then you end up taking other drugs. And then because you've taken so many of those, then I'll take others to go to sleep. And it's this cycle, and you'd be all right for a few days. And that's why I always thought this isn't a problem, because I'd have a few days off in between. Yeah. But then what had happened is I discovered another drug, which is an anti-anxiety drug. And I'd start, and then I become physically addicted to that. That's why I went to rehab. I become physically addicted. I never experienced physical addiction, you know, like experiencing, you know, withdrawals and things like that. And it was like, mate, like, how many times do you have to do this? And I think, you know, my family and my relationships and Chloe, they're all so supportive, but how much more have they got? How many more times are they going to be like, do you know what, Jack, yeah, it's OK, we'll get through this? There's got to be a point where they say, this is it now. And I think it got to that point where there was no more relationship to salvage. There was no money to go and even help yourself or go off to rehab.
Well, that is one of the factors in this whole situation that you find yourself in as well, where you had a vast amount of money.
Yeah.
And you went through it so quickly because you'd kind of got this gambling addiction that was running at the same time.
Well, it's not that. It was like these all went hand in hand. So I'd be, you know, I would be drinking and doing whatever I was doing, and then I wasn't in my right mind. So I'd think to myself, I'd convince myself, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and win 100 grand today on blackjack. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. And then because of
how much were you gambling?
Oh, the gambling. I mean, it was, and this was only ever when I was, I suppose the word is intoxicated. I was doing 40 grand days, like 5 grand hands on blackjack. Like, who did I think I was? I wasn't Brad Pitt. Like, I didn't. Why did I think I had all this money? Like, do you know what I mean? But you know, it's money that, and also I had to be healthy and keep up appearances and be punctual to keep getting that money anyway. So how delusional was I to think that it was going to still be there?
Endless supply. And in total, how much money do you think you've wasted?
Oh, it's very close to $1 million. Very, very close to me. Because it's awful. And when I say, and it's not even just that, it's like the behaviour that I was doing. So, like, you know, driving recklessly, you know, having no regard for even myself. I didn't really care about myself. I didn't really care. Like, so.
But there's other people on the road as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I'd end up crashing cars. I mean, it's been paying to get them fixed. So the collateral damage was very expensive for me. And it's all my fault. And that's why, you know, what you said about accountability. I hold my hands up to all this. This was my fault. You know, I'm dealing with the consequences. And now I want to set it straight. And a couple of times last year, you know, I sat there and I just thought, it's all over for you. You had the world at your feet. But I don't think I've got so much more to give. Do you know what I mean? Let's change the narrative. And rather than keep trying to cover these things up, say, I messed up. I am human, but I won't do it again. And
Why now, though, Jack? Why do you feel like... Because I think you've been sober since Christmas Day.
Yeah.
So we're just coming into February now, so sort of a month and a half, getting on for 2 months, which is, you know, fair play. But why do you think now it's going to stick?
The reason it's going to stick now is because, as I mentioned, there's nothing more to salvage. Everyone else is on their last, like they're on their last. I'm on their last chance. There's no going back now.
So you think you're at the lowest you can?
Yeah, the lowest I've ever been in every way, you know. And it's like, I'm 32, and I'd always have this little argument with myself. And again, this is an addiction thing. You've got 2 people on your shoulder, but one tells you the reasons you should do it, and one tells you the reasons you shouldn't. And one of those arguments was always, but you're only in your mid-20s. You're only, you know, you can still do this. But even that argument's gone now, that the addict was talking about in me. And it's like now, you know, you've got an opportunity to turn this around. You've got supportive people around you. And I think as well, I've got more to lose now in terms of my relationships with my friends and my family. They're better, you know, with Chloe, and we're in a really good place. And like, I've never really had that. I've not really had that where I thought that's not worth losing. Everything that I had, I always thought, it's all right, I'll get it back. I didn't really care if I lost it. But this time round, I've got so much to lose in terms of stuff that you can't buy. Yeah. You know, I've got stuff that you can't buy.
So what are you doing? Obviously, it's not as easy as, right, I'm just going to stop, right? Because like you said, you've got these 2 voices on either shoulder.
Yeah.
So what are you doing to make sure that this is the time, this is the moment where it's going to be different?
Yeah, I'm setting goals for myself, right? And I just thought to myself, right, what was you good at? Boxing. So I went and signed for a fight, and I'm going to fight on the 1st of March. I thought, right, I want a skill that I can learn and have forever, that no one can take away from me.
And that's a professional...
Yeah. So obviously, I've been boxing as a professional in England. So I've signed with Warren Boxing Management. I've got my meeting with the board to redo my licence and stuff. I'm fighting on a professional bare knuckle card on the 1st of March. I also, you know, being in this industry, sometimes it's like those mistakes you've done, you're not right for this brand, and people telling you what you're not right for. Yeah. So I thought, OK, what can I learn as a skill that I can have for myself? That's why doing a master's degree in financial trading, which no one can take that away from me. Then I earned that, and I've done it. I've also gone back to office supplies and stationery,
which is where you originated.
Exactly. So I'm back as a pen seller. So I'm doing that because I thought I'm good at it. I know what I'm doing, and for me, having those things, I'm comfortable with it. I've boxed my whole life, and I've sold pens since I've been 16. stick to those two things as the comfort, because you know what you're doing, you're confident in what you're doing. Don't, you know, let loads of different things come into your head and branch off here, branch off there, because that's what happened before, I suppose. You know, I had so many different opportunities. I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that, and I never put 100% into any of them. So now I'm just fully focused on the things I'm good at and what I want to do and where I want to be. And
what about Chloe as well? Because she's been incredibly patient and she's looked out for you. She's been through the mill, right?
I love her. I do love her. And I really finally, I see a future. I see a future. And I want to get married. I want to buy a farm. You know what I mean? That's what I want. That's what I want to do. And I see that with her now. But the person I was and the person I was becoming, that person couldn't hold down a relationship. That person couldn't even hold down a job. But this person, the person I'm becoming, I'm not saying it's all in the snap of her fingers, that's it. It's a lot of work, but I'm willing to put the work in now because I want to build a future for me and Chloe and I build a future for myself. And I want to finally change this narrative and stop filling it up with negativity and be an example and be, you know, want people to look up to me, because people did look up to me, but now I want them to look up to me for the right reasons.
I think it really helps the minute you have structure in place like that. And I have to say, I've seen the interview that you've done with the newspaper. And you look a million times better already, just physically. So it's working. You're on the right path.
I know. I'm just going to keep that up now. I want to try and get some abs, I think, as well, you know.
Jack, good luck. Stay on it.
We'll do.
Hold yourself accountable.
Exactly
think
that.
about those people, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. And good luck for the fight as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
If you or someone you know has been affected by anything that we've been talking about on today's show, you can find advice and support by heading to the helpline section on our This Morning website. Just go to itv.com/. Thank you for visiting our This Morning YouTube channel. We upload new content every day, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. And we'll see you in the morning.